Hey guys, it's Timmy, and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited, as we are here on the 7th of October 2019 to talk about everything that went down tonight on Monday Night Raw. And to be 100% completely honest, tonight's Raw was not good. It was boring. Very boring. To be 100% completely honest with you guys, if it wasn't my job to pay attention to this show, I know you hear people say this all the time, but if it wasn't my job to pay attention to this show so I can do this podcast for you, for me myself, because I enjoy doing it, I may have fell asleep. I'm not joking. That's how bored of Raw I was tonight. That if I didn't have to stay awake to, what was I saying? If I didn't have to stay awake to pay attention to the entire show and be able to review it, I probably would have fell asleep. Because there was, at one point, right before that Miz TV segment, I did feel myself doze a little. I was like, oh dang, this show really does suck. Like, from the get-go, I was bored of this show. It started off with that Lana and Bobby Lashley hotel room thing, and then Rusev going nuts. And then right from there, it was just a boring show. Yes, 3 borings. Joe Decker says they kept pushing Tyson and Braun back. No, it was always planned for the main event spot. They just wanted to keep telling you that you're going to see them eventually together in the ring. That way, you wouldn't turn away. Like, basically, they were like, we're going to tell you 2 or 3 times that Tyson Fury and Braun Strowman are going to eventually meet face-to-face tonight. It's going to be the end of the show because we think it's the best thing we have. Excuse me. No, some sort of hiccups here. It was basically, we're gonna promote this throughout the show for the main event segment. Nicholas Altamore, no. He asked if I'm gonna do a recap of all the news I missed while I was out sick. No. I really don't think that there's any need for it, to be 100% completely honest. Let's look at the chat before we get going here. See who we've got with us. We got Leo Morales, Ruby Melendez, Henry McKenna Cavallo, Nicholas Altamore, Jason Dalton, Nelson, Willie's Network, Joe Decker, Jeff Guevara, Gregory Benson, Kyle Watson, Sinclair Saturday. So, let me see here. Joe Decker's got a comment. It says, would a full 24/7 segment show be good? No. It would not. Because apparently, the fans don't care about the 24/7 title anymore. They liked it at first, but now, fans just don't really care about it. Now, Sinclair Saturday, you have a good point there. He says Natalya Lacey was the best match of the show. Yes. And I thought that match was fine. Even almost good. But Monday Night Raw kicked off with a recap of Rusev, Lana, and Bobby Lashley angle from last week, and not a recap of last night's Hell in a Cell. There was barely any mention of last night's Hell in a Cell, to be completely honest. After the video intro, Randy Orton and Baron Corbin were putting the boots to Rusev. Rusev fought them off. Then Lashley's big face appeared on the big screen. Like, it was zoomed in a little too far. Lashley wore a robe and then told Rusev it was his robe. Lashley said if it was Rusev's robe, he must be in Rusev's house and in Rusev's bedroom. Lashley stepped into the bed and Lana appeared. Lana got in bed as romantic music started to play somehow. Lana said that everything that was Rusev's now belongs to her, and they no longer have joint bank accounts. I don't know if that's how it works. If Rusev still owns things, it's still his. They haven't gone through divorce. They haven't gone through the court system to split it. So, yeah, She can't just take all of Rusev's stuff. Rusev's a citizen now. He's got rights. Lashley said Rusev shouldn't have been sending money back home to Bulgaria. Lana under the covers and took off her bra. She said, I'm having some fun. And Lashley said, no, we're having fun. And then he turned out the lights. So Rusev starts, quote unquote, crying in the ring. And Orton and Corbin are laughing at ringside. Rusev then got mad and went after Corbin and Orton. They double teamed him for a second. And then Rusev destroyed both of them. Sent Corbin to the steps. Gave Orton a follow-away slam into the barricade. He tossed them around some more, giving out some super kicks to both of them. He even threw Randy Orton into the crowd at one point. The crowd started chanting for Rusev. That was it. Announcers then ran down what we know for tonight's show. With one segment in the books, they have yet to mention Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins. Again, they wanted to mention that as little as possible, as both men were not even on the show. Not even the champion Seth. So the first match we got tonight was the last woman standing match that went roughly 17 minutes. Natalya versus Lacey Evans. Evans cut a promo at the onset of this match, comparing Natalya to garbage. She had a trash can that she spray painted Natalya's name on. One of the announcers said that this might be the last time you see these two wrestle on Raw because of the draft. And that was the big talking point for tonight, the draft. The big talking point was, you see this person on Raw tonight, but you may not see them come next week because they might get drafted to SmackDown. So Natalya was in control early of this match until Evans kicked her in the gut and yanked her down. Somehow this caused Natalya to stay down for a 9 count, and not much had happened at this point. So Evans drove her into the barricade and then went for a table. But then she changed her mind. Natalya barely got to her feet for a third time. Less than 5 minutes into this match. And this time, literally, Natty was out. The ref counted to like 8. He was right at saying 9. And then all of a sudden, Natty, who was just down, not moving, almost looked like she wasn't breathing, all of a sudden just pops right up. And she's fine. Happened a couple times in this match, and I was like, ugh, you can't sell an 8 count or a 9 count, and then all of a sudden just pop. You're perfectly fine. So Evans tossed her into the ring steps and then went to commercial break here. Evans, after the break, tossed Natty into a leather chair at ringside, one of the desk chairs. Evans attacked her with a kendo stick. Natalya got up again at a 9, and Evans shoved her into the post for another 9 count. Way too many of these 9 counts. Evans trapped Natalya in a chair and booted her, and then continued attacking her with a kendo stick. Natalya fought back for a moment, but Evans booted her into the barricade. Natalya barely got to her feet again at a 9 count, but Evans gave her a neckbreaker on the outside. Evans then hit her with the trash can. Evans then jumped up on the barricade. So they're at the end of the entrance ramp. And Evans jumps up on the barricade, and she goes for a moonsault, which didn't look good because Natty actually fell down before Lacey even finished her rotation of the moonsault. She was like 3/4 into the rotation. Her nothing hit Natty, and Natty just falls down. So Natty wouldn't stay down though this time. Evans gave her a suplex on the ramp, then launched her into the big video board and into the announce table. Natty then, again, got up right at the 9. Then, Evans gave her a vertical suplex on the announce table, which didn't break. Natty got up again, you guessed it, at the 9. Then she blocked a suplex attempt and handed out a suplex of her own. Natty would then grab Lacey Evans and powerbomb her off of the stage through a table as Jerry Lawler screamed at her not to do it. Evans couldn't get up at the 10, and Natalya was declared the winner. Natalya, who appeared near death at least 10 times, hopped on the announce table, smiled and posed. Lawler did a good job selling the finish, but I didn't like this. I thought the wrestling between the two women were good, solid. Lacey's getting better, a lot better. But the fact that Natty would get knocked down from almost a nothing move and have to stay down till 9 and then pop right back up. Just killed it. Again, match went about 17 minutes. We then see Aleister Black in the back. I guess he found a new closet at Raw. He said Raw was a place for competition and for battle, something he desperately sought and didn't really get on SmackDown. He said he wants to pick a fight. He said he wants someone to pick a fight with him tonight. They got the Street Profits, as they talked about the draft, said each brand would have separate rosters. They said they did a quick scouting report on Apollo Crews, Buddy Murphy, and even Drake Maverick, calling him a virgin. Or maybe not a virgin, but he just hasn't, quote-unquote, consummated his marriage. Then they spoke about Tyson Fury and Braun Strowman, which led to a replay of what happened on SmackDown. We then thought we learned that the Tyson Fury angle was coming up next because they showed Tyson Fury with his family backstage, and then they said Tyson Fury next. Well, it was just Tyson Fury doing an interview with Charlie Caruso. He was actually mostly booed. Fury said he wasn't trying to provoke Strowman and admitted that maybe he shouldn't have jumped the barricade, which led to him getting escorted from the building. However, he wasn't going anywhere tonight, and he wanted an apology from Braun Strowman, or else Strowman would get some hands. Which, I don't know what he wanted an apology for. I guess Strowman throwing Ziggler at him, maybe? So at this point, about an hour into the show almost-ish, still no mention of the Universal title or the Universal title match in Hell in a Cell. So in a non-title match, we had the tag team champions Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode against the Viking Raiders. Good match here, went about 16 minutes. A few minutes into the match, Eric caught Roode with a knee to the chin, which seemed to knock him out for a second. Instead of going for the cover, Eric just yelled in Roode's face. Ziggler pulled Roode out of the ring to regroup, but instead of making the tag, Roode kept wrestling, and Eric sent him to the outside again, and then went to break. Weird little sequence here. So I think maybe Roode actually did get his bell rung a little. Not sure exactly, but that's what it looked like. The way where he was just out for a second, and Eric didn't do anything to him before he was able to compose himself. So good on Eric for not just jumping on him if he was actually hurt or just stunned for a second. So after the break, a slight distraction from Ziggler allowed his team to take control of Eric. Eric dodged a stinger splash attempt by Ziggler and made the hot tag to Ivar, who ran wild on both opponents. Ziggler caught him with a famouser for a 2. Ivar then gave him a running heel kick. Roode broke up a cover attempt. Ziggler caught Eric in a small package for a 2. Ziggler and Roode hit a combo zigzag spinebuster combo, which looked like it'd be a nice finisher, but it wasn't the finish as Eric kicked out. Viking Raiders then soon followed it up with the Viking Experience for the victory. Jumping ahead a little bit here, we did learn later in the show that next week on Monday Night Raw, the Viking Raiders will be challenging Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode for the Raw Tag Team Championships, and honestly, they should win. I think they're 15-0 on Raw as a tag team, in straight tag competition. So we go back to Aleister Black in the back. He's now just wearing his ring gear. He says, I'm going to go down to the ring, and I want somebody to challenge me. Again, we're in the second hour of the show now. Still no mention of Hell in a Cell. Back from the break, the Singh brothers were dancing in the ring wearing their Bollywood gear. They wanted to show why each of them were standouts on 205 Live and should be the top draft pick on either Raw or SmackDown. They said they wanted to take on Aleister Black if Aleister Black really wanted some competition. Black would come down to the ring, take them both on in 2-on-1 handicap action. Black immediately nailed Samir Singh with a kick, then caught Sunil with a knee strike. Samir tried to fight back, so Black killed him with the Black Mass. Black then caught Sunil in a modified Dragon Sleeper, and he immediately tapped out. Match in about a minute 10 seconds. This is all right. So then we see Strowman in the back, and they tell us Braun Strowman, he had a confrontation last Friday with Tyson Fury, and we're going to get some more about that next. So you think, okay, finally going to see Braun and Tyson Fury together. No, After the break, Braun was interviewed again by Charlie Caruso. Not again, but Charlie Caruso did another interview, this time with Braun Strowman. He said he was just trying to have some fun with Fury, but Fury got too serious. Strowman knew that Fury threw a good punch, but so did he. They then replayed him knocking out AJ at Hell in a Cell, one of the first and only references so far at this point of the show to that pay-per-view. Strowman said Fury might get an apology if he asks nicely, but if he didn't ask nicely, he'd get these hands. The announcers briefly recapped last week's events, saying that it was a great premiere week for the WWE, the Raw premiere, Total Divas, NXT, and SmackDown, but they didn't mention Hell in a Cell. Then they aired a video recap of the Brock Lesnar, Rey Mysterio, Cain Velasquez angle. They showed Brock attacking Rey and Dominic on Monday. They then showed Brock winning the title on Friday and the Cain Velasquez stuff. We then got a Rey Mysterio interview. He thanked all the fans and the WWE superstars for their support for his son Dominic. Mysterio said he was proud of him because he took his beating like a man. Mysterio said that all parents know that it's their job to protect their children, but last week he was beat down so badly by Brock that all he could do was watch. He said he sat at Dominic's bedside in the hospital, and Dominic's godfather actually came to visit, and his godfather apparently is two-time UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez. And I didn't realize, if that's a true statement, that Rey and Cain went that far back, or that I didn't realize if they really had any kind of, relationship for reals, but I mean, it's cool. Then Rey would go on, just to talk about SmackDown, talk about what happened on Friday and stuff, and then he said Cain Velasquez is the only man that can brag accurately that Brock Lesnar fears him. I'm like, who? That's an accolade and a half. He said if anyone would avenge their family, it would be Cain. They got a new AOP promo, just basically them saying that people are afraid to face them. They got a 6-man tag team match. U.S. champ AJ Styles and the OC, Gallows and Anderson, taking on a Lucha House Party in a 9 to 10 minute match. Solid match overall. So early on, Anderson hit a spine buster on Dorado for a 2. Dorado then caught him with a high cross, then tagged into Kalisto. Kalisto used a Hurricane Rana on Styles, who flew into the ropes, and then planted him with another Hurricane Rana. Styles countered a Selena Del Sol into a Pele kick, then followed up with a phenomenal forearm for the victory. There was a cool spot when all 3 men of the OC were at ringside. So all 3 men of the Lucha House Party climbed to the top rope, and they all did moonsaults, one on each member of the OC. That was a really cool spot. But in the end, just a random 6-man tag, so that way the OC can pick up a victory. After the match, the OC beat up the Lucha House Party. It all concluded with Styles giving Dorado a Styles clash off the middle rope. Then, instead of AJ's music playing at the end, like it does when they enter, they played some different music. I guess it's their stable music. I don't know. Very interesting, though. Finally, we got some Hell in a Cell talk as they recap Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. Lawler said they stole the show. Still no mention of the Universal title match, and no Sasha on the show tonight, because apparently, according to John Pollock of Post Wrestling, Sasha Banks, along with Bray Wyatt, suffered some sort of an undisclosed injury at Hell in a Cell. So as we go into the third hour of the show here, the final hour, we get Miz TV and Charlotte Flair. And this is where I really noticed that this show was dragging. Now, I don't know if time's going to change soon. It's starting to get dark a little sooner, so I thought maybe it was later. Or did this show really just drag by this point? Because I'm like, this show seems like it's going on long. Then I look out my window and I go, well, it is a little darker than it normally is at 7 o'clock. So maybe that's what I'm feeling. But no, I think it was that this show at this point, going into the third hour, just really seemed like it was dragging. George John Cox says, if I have any new info on Sasha, nope. All we know is the news that John Pollock reported earlier in the day, stating that Sasha, again along with Bray Wyatt, both did suffer some sort of an injury at Hell in a Cell, but it's unknown exactly what the injury is. So we get Miz TV. Miz introduces each woman. Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. New SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. Jose Padilla says Bray came out in a dark dark match tonight. I'll look into that. So Lynch said the accomplishments of hers were great, but Banks put her through hell last night. And of course, if Banks were there now, Lynch would remind her she got her ass kicked by the man. Miz put over Charlotte Flair's win, said that it was good to be the queen. Miz said that they could end up on separate brands or even on the same brand. Miz put them over as the two most dominant women in the company, and Charlotte said she didn't have to include the word woman in there, or that he didn't have to include the word woman in there, basically insinuating she's the most dominant, just superstar. Miz talked about their match tonight against the Kabuki Warriors. Lynch admitted to being beaten up, but that didn't matter. Because last time she fought Asuka won. And she wanted to basically avenge that tonight. Charlotte sort of brushed this off. Then Lynch said that Charlotte was looking rather happy with herself holding the belt that she made famous. Charlotte said that she made Lynch famous as well. They faced off while holding their belts in the air as Asuka and Sane interrupted. Asuka and Sane got a promo in Japanese, and it was rather amused, or they were rather amused of themselves. They also did not think much. They said they didn't think too much of Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch. Lynch said that she's been waiting for Asuka and told them, let's fight right now. Asuka and Sane ran down and they brawled for a moment until a referee separated them. Lynch and Charlotte took them out with baseball slides as we went to a commercial break. We then got the women's champions versus the women's tag team champions in about an 11 to 12 minute match. Lynch was being worked over briefly until she tagged in Charlotte early, who hit Asuka with a natural selection. She then took out Asuka and Sane with a moonsault off the top to the outside. Charlotte tried to dive to the outside later, but Asuka caught her with a knee. After a break, Charlotte gave Sane a suplex, then made the tag to Lynch. Sane hit her with some running strikes and running forearms. Lynch gave Asuka an exploder, then tried a double dropkick, but she only caught Asuka off that top rope dropkick. Sane avoided it and followed up with a back elbow. Sane went to the top to go for the insane elbow, but she was yanked off the top rope by Lynch, who then hit her with a leg drop. Asuka broke up a pin attempt. Charlotte then took out Asuka with a boot, and Sane back blocked Charlotte. Lynch put Sane in the disarmor as the referee checked on Charlotte. Then Asuka would slip into the ring and try to blow the mist. She blew half of it straight up into the air, and the rest did hit eventually Becky Lynch. It quote unquote, well, I mean, some of it did get in Becky's face, so you could say it got in her eyes. Sane then rolled her up for the pin. 1, 2, 3. Kabuki Warriors beat the women's champion. Sane pinned the SmackDown Live Women's Champion. SmackDown Women's Champion. J Abstract says, how can they be drafted being brand-specific champions? It doesn't matter. They can just switch them and then say, oh, well, now Charlotte's a champion on Raw. Becky's a champion on SmackDown. We don't know how this is all going to work because, like I was saying, we don't know if everybody's in the draft, if champions are exempt in the draft, or what. So, Jose Padilla says, Wyatt came out and gave Cesaro the Mandible Claw. He says Cesaro or Miz, and then took off, and they sent us home. Were you there live in Bakersfield tonight, Jose? I'm going to look at this really quick while we're here on the podcast. Let's see. Live results. Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt. Let's see if Bray did anything. Let's just looking really quickly. Right here, I do have something. It does state The Fiend Bray Wyatt interrupts a dark match between The Miz and Cesaro. Let's see. This person's got a video here. So Miz and Cesaro were having a match after Raw when The Fiend's music would hit. Fiend would come down and put Cesaro in the mandible claw. So it was Cesaro. Gotcha. All right. So that's what it was. Fiend did come out, but he really didn't have to do much. So even if he is injured, it's like, really? He just put him in the mandible claw and that was it. So, all good. Still gave the live crowd the Fiend. No Seth Rollins whatsoever, though. And I think that was a good idea to not put Seth in front of a live crowd because you don't know how they're going to react. So after the women's showcase, the champion's showcase match, Charlotte attacked Asuka Insane, but then they double teamed her, and now would come the former women's tag team champions, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, to make the save. They had a cool little double team move here that they gave to, I think it was Kairi Sane. I didn't write it down. Cross gave her a neck breaker. She bounced up right into Alexa, where Alexa gave her a nice DDT. I like that as like a double team finisher. So they announced we will be getting in the same ring tonight Tyson Fury, Braun Strowman, but not yet. About 2.5 hours into the show, we finally got acknowledgement of Rollins versus Wyatt. Apparently, we'll hear more about it later. Charlie Caruso interviewed Apollo Cruz. He said he's facing Ricochet tonight. They've been friends for a very, very long time. He has nothing but respect for Ricochet. But with the draft coming up and his match tonight, he knows he's going to have to use that as a showcase to make himself look good for the upcoming draft. Nothing against Ricochet, but he needs to pick up a victory. We then got the announcement for the Raw Tag Team title match, and then Sarah Shriver would interview Ricochet. He basically said the same thing. He said Apollo Crews is one of his best friends. He's got nothing but respect for him, but with the draft coming up, this is an opportunity for a fresh start. This is an opportunity to show what he can really do and show why he deserves to be on either Raw or SmackDown. He said, if this is the last time I wrestle on Raw and I'm going to SmackDown, then I'm going to make it worth it. He said, I want to prove that superheroes are real. He spoke faster than normal, and as we basically saw at the end of the show, it looks like things were rushed late. So we got Ricochet versus Apollo Crews. Match went about 4 minutes long. They mirrored each other's moves early, reversing a lot of stuff. Crews finally caught Ricochet with a drop kick after a couple leapfrog attempts. Crews had a delayed vertical suplex, but Ricochet came back with a springboard forearm and a standing shooting star press for a 2. Crews followed up with an enziguri and a standing moonsault for 2. Ricochet then hit the code breaker. Moments later, 2-pin Apollo Crews. So at about 7:45 Pacific time, they aired a recap of Rollins versus Wyatt. Obviously, they edited out all the negative crowd noise. And they included a brief shot of Rollins bleeding from the mouth. After the video, Fury was shown walking through the back as Vic Joseph said, I still can't believe what we witnessed 24 hours ago. Which Lawler will respond, you're right. And then quickly moved away from it. And talked about Tyson Fury without taking a breath. Fury shook hands with a couple guys backstage like The Miz, Cedric Alexander, Hawkins, and Ryder. They plugged the tag title match for next week. And then we got the Braun Strowman Tyson Fury segment. Lawler was like the quote-unquote moderator in the ring early. Excuse me. As they surrounded the ring with security. He introduced Fury, who said he was demanding an apology from Braun Strowman for trying to make him look like a fool. Strowman then entered, and the crowd chanted, "Get these hands." Strowman said he was just having some fun. until he saw the look on Fury's face. Strowman said, when you were being dragged out of there by security. Well, first he said, he said, when you were being dragged out of there by security, I was yelling at them to just let you go and let you fight me. He said, I eat guys like you for lunch. Fury said it was good for Strowman that the security grabbed him because otherwise he would have knocked him out. Strowman said that he'd put Fury on his back like the last time he fought Wilder. Fury said, well, how many world championships? No. He said, how many heavyweight championships have you won? And that pissed off Braun. They dropped the mics and got right in each other's faces. Lawler disappeared at this point. Strowman then first, Fury threw a punch or two. Strowman then grabbed him and drove him into the turnbuckle. They brawled briefly until 1 million security guards came out to try and separate them. Crowd started chanting, let them fight. Fury knocked down the guards in his way to getting to Strowman. And the punches from both of these guys on the security guards did not look good. They looked so weak. So they fought briefly until a bunch of mid-card guys would come out from the locker room to try and break them up. And they held them off for a brief moment. They broke through a couple of times. Fury then challenged him to fight right now. Strowman tried to attack him again before he was held back. Strowman was finally pulled out of the ring, and his music hit as he walked to the back. As soon as he got to Gorilla, Charlie Caruso was there to interview him. Caruso said, Tyson Fury just wanted an apology. Has your opinion of him changed now that you've been in the ring face-to-face with him? And Strowman just starts yelling. He said, Fury was one tough son of a bitch, and now he's going to get these damn hands when it's all said and done. And the way he delivered it was more comedical, because the way he was like yelling and I don't know. So, as Strowman's yelling backstage, they're showing it on the big screen, and we see Fury in the ring, just like, come on, big man, come down here, let's go, come get me if you want me. And so they cut back to Braun as he's cutting his promo, cut back to the ring of Tyson Fury, and you see Fury do the whole, come on, like waving his hands. They cut to the top of the ramp, and Strowman is running down, runs into the ring to brawl for about a hot second, and then boom, show goes off the air. So it looked like it ran a little long. The show goes off the air as the two are brawling in the ring. All of them, the mid-level guys are trying to break them up, and eventually I guess they do because they got Miz versus Cesaro after that for the live crowd. And that was Monday Night Raw, folks. A boring show. A boring Monday Night Raw. Not good whatsoever. No Seth Rollins Universal Champion. No Fiend on television. Barely any mention of Hell in a Cell. It's like, we want you to forget Hell in a Cell. We'll briefly mention it because we kind of should. But yeah, that was it. So with that, that's going to do it for tonight's Monday Night Raw review. We will be live tomorrow with the PWUnlimited podcast. Me and Nick will be here at roughly 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll get Nick's thoughts on Hell in a Cell, and I know Nick's got some thoughts on Hell in a Cell. Plus, we'll talk about all the other news in pro wrestling, and maybe we'll give some draft predictions, or at least say where we think certain guys should go. So with that, I want to say thank you to everybody who did join me here live to talk about Monday Night Raw, and everybody who watched here later right here on YouTube, and also everybody who listens on podcast services all around the world like iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Me and Nick will be here for the PWUnlimited podcast. Have a good night, guys. God bless.